Although there have been efforts to limit methane emissions, most of the world is focused on reducing carbon output.
However, that process hasn't been linear or equal even from country to country. Keith Carson has the story.
Climate change has very local effects, many of which we've documented over the past year in this series. But big picture, it's a global problem. One country could go green and renewable, but that only has so much impact if other nations continue to emit carbon at their previous rate or higher. Despite near universal efforts to reduce reliance on fossil fuels, they still account for about 80% of the energy use worldwide. But the exact figures vary greatly from country to country. China, for example, still relies on coal for over half of its energy, compared to just about 10% for the United States. That ratio, combined with China's enormous population, means they consumed more coal than the rest of the world combined in 2022. Meanwhile, in the United States, coal usage has fallen by more than half since its peak in 2005, largely driven by a sharp decline in its use in the electricity generation sector. Although renewables have increased market share here at home, a lot of the decline of coal can actually be attributed to the rise of natural gas as a more cost-effective option. And although natural gas is cleaner than coal, emitting about 50% less CO2, it's still a fossil fuel. One of the biggest challenges to a greener world is encouraging countries with rapidly growing economies to build new generation with something other than coal. Renewables have come down significantly price-wise, but coal is still cheap in many parts of the world and can be transported easily to emerging markets. South Africa is a case in point. They rank number 1 for coal usage as a percentage. That's because they rank 8th in the world for natural coal deposits, despite having a population of only 60 million. Simply put, it was there and they used it. Now, it's important to note that although we've taken steps to reduce our carbon emissions in the US, we still rank as one of the highest in the world per capita, trailing only some Middle Eastern countries and Canada. So what's the solution to countries moving in sometimes opposing directions when it comes to carbon emissions? That, of course, is a complicated question. Wealthier nations like the United States and many European countries have considered incentive programs to encourage cleaner energy development in emerging markets. But that only goes so far if the economic model still works better for fossil fuels. Solving this problem is one of the biggest challenges to getting global carbon emissions under control. Global emissions that contribute to Maine's changing climate.